Today's show, as always, sponsored by LivassaIslandApparel.com for gear that represents the South Pacific Island languages and cultures accurately and responsibly. Put on for the culture. Catch the wave at LivassaIslandApparel.com. Welcome everyone to another episode, the Ballinesian podcast. Here, wherever you're listening to this to, Samoans talking about sports. As always, sponsored by Livassa Island Apparel. If you follow them or us on IG, you'll know all about
the Villa de la Rosa Fall Market this Saturday, November 9th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. They're at the Villa de la Rosa Congregational Christian Church of Samoan, Modesto, California at 1331 Cascade Avenue.
They're in Modesto. You can shop Livassa Island Apparel as well as other vendors, and then hit the many great food options that there will be for lunch and dinner for you and your family.
Seals Bakery is going to be there.
Wisteria Bakery.
Family's favorite with crepes.
Oh, the Ferns. Stay Rooted Kava.
Yep. And then they'll have Lily's Kitchen as well.
They got a Jamaican dude that Eri knows, Chef Fasco, with the Jamaican jerk flavors.
Of course he does. Floats and Fizz is going to be there.
And many more. We heard there's also going to be a jumper there. So, man, bring the kids out. They got like a playground area there. It's going to be great. It's tucked away in the neighborhood. There in Modesto, the Villa de la Rosa Fall Market this Saturday. Definitely check them out.
Great people. You'll meet great people. Have some good food. They had me at jumper. You just put a jumper anywhere and I'll show up. I might not be able to fit through initially.
Once you get inside, you plenty of jumping room.
Right, exactly. And kids beware. There's no age limit to keep people getting bumped in the jumper.
Getting bumped in the jumper?
I'm just saying.
All right. Here we go. Our topics for this week, we do have a lot. So definitely stay with us. We got trade deadline moves. We got the Raiders firing their coaches, Chargers beating the Browns, heading to the Titans, and then a bunch of other teams, Tua, Commanders, talking about the Chiefs possibly being undefeated, and our shout-outs.
Hey, man, I don't like the way you said Raiders firing their coaches and Chargers beating the Browns.
Oh, did you want to talk about your guys' game?
First off, you beat the Browns too, okay?
You guys also beat the Ravens in week 2.
Exactly. It's not that hard.
Yeah, the Raiders definitely not where you guys wanted to be at.
This is exactly where we want to be at. Okay?
At this point in the season, halfway through the NFL season.
Now we have everybody's attention. Now watch.
Everybody, the Raiders are 2-7.
We're gonna win this Sunday.
Okay. You guys are on bye this week. As long as no one gets in trouble, that's a win.
I'm saying. That's a win.
It's a win. All right. We'll talk about that. But first, trade deadline moves. I wanted to ask which move you thought today was most impactful, and then overall. There were a bunch of moves. Today was the NFL trade deadline. This is the last day you could trade players. And it's kind of like the last ditch effort because a bunch of these guys went for not only late round picks, but late round pick swaps. I'll give you this guy in the 7th for your 7th round pick.
For your 7th round, yeah.
That's crazy to me. But which ones kind of stood out to you? We'll go through the whole list, but off the top, which ones do you think were most important?
I think the most important today was the Mike Williams. I know people are going to be like, the Mike Williams. They overpaid for him too. They gave him a 4th from Mike Williams. Everybody has a problem with that. They didn't have a problem with the trade. They had a problem with what
5th.
Pittsburgh gave. Oh, 5th. Same thing.
Yeah, right. But it keeps going back.
Right. But I do think, judging from what he did in LA, I think he's going to be a really good pickup for Russ. Yeah,
San Diego.
I wanted to. That's why I stopped. Russ is that guy that he can throw that deep ball, but his placement on the deep ball, and I think Mike Williams is going to benefit from that. But I also think Russ now has somebody that he can throw it to, those 50-50 balls, because don't mind my pops walking in the back there.
So pops.
I'm on my laptop, guys, so I don't have my fancy background. Anyway, uh, yeah, I think Mike Williams is that guy that he's been waiting for. Like, I know they have George Pickens, but I
Right.
don't know, like he's more of that flashy dude. He does go across the middle, but I think Mike Williams is that boundary guy that he's been missing.
Mhm.
So, and I think also we've seen it when he was with LA, where they just throw it down all the way down the field, and he was always
What? Yeah.
money. He was always money on those long.
Deep ball, one on
Yep,
ones.
yep.
Beating the coverage, beating like a zone. That is Mike Williams getting way down there for
And
sure.
I say that's important because Pittsburgh, they still needed a lot more pieces than some of these other teams that picked up uh, really impressive people that they picked up today. Some
Mhm.
guys picked, but I think Pittsburgh was probably farther along than they were, and getting Mike Williams, I think, is a big deal for them. So yeah, I like Mike
Oh,
Williams said. I think he's the biggest sign today.
yeah, we'll see how Dangerous is going to be doing.
Right.
Another wide receiver that went was Jonathan Mingo from the Carolina Panthers. He
Down.
went to the Dallas Cowboys for a fourth round pick.
That was crazy because he hasn't caught a touchdown all season.
Yeah, it feels like the Cowboys were like, oh man, we talked about, who are we going to be able to go get? Like when we were talking sarcastically to reporters. And then they saw like big wide receivers go Devontae Adams to the Jets, Amari Cooper to the Bills, DeAndre Hopkins to the freaking Kansas City Chiefs, Deontay Johnson from the
Deontay
Panthers
Johnson.
to the Ravens. So, and now they're like, oh, I guess we do have to try to get somebody. And then they panic again and get Jonathan Mingo. It's like, I mean, I know it's for a fourth round pick, but a fourth round pick too, that's like more than any of these other guys went for
Sure.
less
For
of a wide
sure.
receiver. So that seems like a panic. And now Dak's hurt, right? So
Yeah. So
Dak's hurt on injured reserve for at least a
that
month.
that is my only logic of why they would have done that. I mean, giving up a fourth, that I don't know, that's crazy. But getting Jonathan Mingo, I think they were counting on his potential because the guy was a speed burner at LSU or Ole Miss. I'm pretty sure it was Ole Miss. But coming out of college, he had a ton of good measurables. He projected good after the combine because of his physical attributes that he showed during that time. So, and Dak's hurt now, so there's no telling when he comes back at the moment. They
Mm-hmm.
don't have a timeline for him to come back. So I don't know if they're tanking, but I do know they're probably collecting uh, pieces for like next season, maybe, or for the future. That is my
Yeah,
only
yeah,
logic of the
yeah.
fourth round pick. But I
Because
do,
like, why would you
yeah, I'm with you. I
give
think
up a
they
pick?
panicked. A higher pick because fourth round
Yeah.
picks are they're valuable now. It's not like before where like people were like, man, fourth round pick. Like the public, the general public or fans, they didn't understand
That,
that fourth, third round picks, fifth round picks now, like they have so much potential because there's just so many good players now coming out of
mm,
college that you can really pick up a guy in those rounds that'll end up starting for your team. Max Crosby.
yeah, your first
Well,
your first round pick, you expect to be starting. Your second round pick to be pushing for a starter role. Your third and fourth round pick, you can find a lot of
contributor.
really
Yeah.
great guys that are contributing or even starting. And then you do have those late round picks, obviously, that pop and are worth more. So the more
Yeah.
bites you have at that chance at a superstar apple of draft picks in
Right.
the NFL lottery, the better you're going to be. Is what we found. Other offensive people, Khalil Herbert, running back for the Bears, traded to the Bengals. That kind of clears it up for DeAndre
He's
Swift and
right.
Roshan
He's
Johnson.
back. Yeah.
He went for a seventh round pick, and now with the Bengals also they have Chase Brown who has emerged, and Zach Moss I think is going to AR.
He's gonna
Uh,
he might be done for the season. So
Oh, yeah. See, so I got to get rid of all my Zach Moss shares in fantasy.
that
Zadarius Smith, probably the best pass rusher on the free agent market. He went to the Lions for a fifth round pick
was
from where was he? Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns. That wasn't too much of a surprise. I think everybody was anticipating
Mm-hmm.
one Detroit getting help
Yeah.
before Aiden Hutchinson can come back because he was talking about coming back maybe for the playoffs. So we'll see. It's been crazy with the advancement in medical or medicine. that these guys are able to come back super early these days. Hopefully, if he does come back, he'll be fully recovered, and if not, he's smart and takes the time to heal and rehab. Because I hate for him to come back and just re-aggravate whatever he hurt. But picking up
Yeah.
Zadarius Smith, yeah, that's great insurance because they're rolling right now, and that's going to be a big piece for them going into playoffs. Because they haven't clinched it, so they still need to do that. Even though they look really good.
Oh, the line. Yeah, and losing Hutchinson, I feel like that had the chance to tank their whole
Yeah,
all of their defense into a funk. Like if he's not kind of like Max
right.
Crosby, right? The engine forcing that pressure, closing down that kind of side of the run game,
Yeah,
then everything else gets more stressed out and starts to crack.
and just to say also, not to put the guys down who are there filling in at the moment. They are doing a great job. They're doing it by committee at the moment, and they're doing a great job. But Aiden Hutchinson is a special talent, so you can't really replace him, but you can
Right.
get a guy in there to come kind of fill the role, and that's a really big name that they got to come in and play because he was with the Ravens, and then he went over to Green Bay, and he was great at both spots. Now he's with the Browns. He still was doing pretty good this season, but the Browns aren't doing good as a whole. So good for him. He's on a contender now, and that's at the for me at the trade deadline. I think that's excitement for all the contenders. Like I'm a Raiders fan, so I wasn't really expecting any big trades at all.
Right. To make
Yeah, to make because they're probably just gonna wait to see where everybody else falls during free agency and who they can pick up if they're gonna pick up anybody else. But another
Don't give no picks away if you're the
no,
Raiders.
exactly. Another big name that won today to another contender, which is going to be great to watch. Now their defenses, man, they look really good now. The Baltimore Ravens picked up Marcus Latimer from New Orleans, so I didn't get the trade details, but
He went to the Commanders.
oh, sorry, the Commanders. That yeah.
Lattimore went to the Commanders. I didn't see what the trade was, but the Ravens traded with the Rams for Tre'Davious White
The Davis right. That's yeah. So,
for a
but both guys for like a steal, but
seventh round pick next year. Not next year. The year
the
after.
year after. Yeah, exactly. But Tre'Davious White wasn't. I don't think he wanted to be in LA in that situation, so he
Mhm.
was pretty much on the way out anyway. And then Latimer went for a third round, a fifth, and I think another pick. And Washington got him and the seventh round. So both teams getting really good. The Commanders just look. It, the reports were that there were a um, ton of guys who at the trade line were like, "Look, if you're gonna trade me, big names too, not just like everybody and their mama was like, hey, let me jump on the Washington Commanders trade,' but everybody who is worth something that would have been traded at the trade deadline, they had told most of their agents that the spot that they all wanted to go to would have been the Commanders. They just
Oh,
look.
okay.
It just
Popular.
looks fun to play there. Like that's what
Yeah.
everybody's saying. It looks really fun to play there. Like everybody there looks like they're just all in. You know.
And you get to beat up on the Cowboys, you get to beat
Yeah.
up on the Giants, the Eagles. Like there's a bunch of players that kind of want
And
revenge on those teams.
look, Cowboy fans, as I say this, yes, I know what my team's record is, but I think a lot of teams are beating up on the Cowboys this year. It's not just the Commanders, but they are in that
Uh,
division together. The
they're going to
Commanders,
for sure
right?
now.
It's fun to see, especially man that defense.
Oh, wait,
No,
who? What is
both Washington's team and I get to sorry, Will. I get to hear Will when we text each other and he complains like before it used to be just like me, like I just wait to beat the Cowboys because our record would always be like Dallas was pretty good. And the Raiders were just, above 500, just barely. But now we're both in the bottom of the league, so it's kind of warms my heart, Will.
Yeah.
But yeah, that man, adding Latimer to that defense, with their two great defensive tackles, probably the best linebacker in the league that's not named Fred Warner, playing number 4.
Lou.
Bobby Wagner to be that older leader, that like older brother for them.
Mhm.
That's great. And now they have Latimer, and they have the rookie that's playing. Not the rookie, sorry, the guy from last year they drafted from Mississippi State, who's playing lights out too now. Just it's great. They're scary. You know, if you're in their division, if you have to play them soon, that's one of those teams you're like, man.
How far do you think the Commanders are going to go in this year? Like, you think they're going to make the playoffs? You think they're going to
I do think they're making the
push for the
playoffs.
Super Bowl?
I think there's a good chance they push, but if we're talking like just off of like what they did last year and just how they're putting everything together now, I think they'll make like at least a conference championship. I think that's realistic for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Definitely ahead of expectations after
Yeah.
taking a quarterback in the top three. They took Jaden. Oh, top two. So with the
Bro,
second pick.
they
Yeah.
didn't just take any quarterback. They took the quarterback that's just changing everything for them. You know what I mean? Like he
Mhm.
could have came in and just been like an okay. We wouldn't bat an eyelash if he was like okay and got them a couple wins. But what he's doing is he's giving them energy, a different type of vibe there. You
Expect
know,
to win.
right? And
Yeah.
he looks like just one of those guys, and everybody's just well, duh, they're winning. He looks like he wants to be there. That's the main point. Like he loves being there with those guys, and so yeah, just different type of quarterback right now. Different. The vibe there is totally different.
The Commanders are 7-2 for the first time since 1996. That might not be, if you dig deeper into it, all that good news. Because the last time they were 7-2, they did not make the playoffs. They were the first team in NFL history to start the season 7-1 and not make the playoffs that year. So we'll see how this shakes out. The
We'll
Commanders
see.
definitely on a different trajectory than the what people were expecting, and that's what having a good quarterback can do for your franchise. That's why quarterbacks go so high. They're drafted so much. They're not ready most of the time, and they kind of just get chopped off and fall off. But
That's why their pay scale
that's
resets the market every year. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
good quarterbacks push the market are worth millions and tens of millions of
Tens
dollars
of millions of
every
dollars.
season. Let's talk about a really good quarterback, Justin Herbert of the Los Angeles Chargers. The most
Best
passing yards
best game
this
manager I've
week.
ever seen. Yep. Really good game
This
manager.
guy is managing the game by throwing bombs down the sideline.
Against Cleveland.
It's
Against Cleveland.
definitely So that's the other thing. I wanted to talk about if the Chargers are a good bad team, right? Like if they're a fake good team.
No, they're a good team.
But at recapping this one, first of all, Stream East, I was choppy as shit. I was like freezing up. I had to watch NFL Red Zone was the time. But I can't afford $400 to watch freaking YouTube TV or anyways.
I'll shoot you the proxy site, man. I'm sorry.
No,
I
no,
thought
no. I use the website. I use this website all the time, and usually it's good. But the last couple of weeks it's been hard. But yeah, I mean, I got most of the game, just kind of the later stuff, and then on
I feel it.
NFL Red Zone, you get live updates that are actually happening for the Chargers. But
Right.
definitely went into Cleveland and beat the brakes off of the Browns. Jameis Winston doing his little unshakable faith, total trust in the Lord. We gonna do it. It's all through him. And then went through 3 interceptions. You're making God look bad. You need to chill out with that a little bit. Harassed Jameis Winston through 3 interceptions. I think he was sacked 6 times. His final stats were 24 of 46, 235 yards, touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Yeah, he was locked in for that pregame interview, but I'm like, bro, just be good at the game. But that plan to kind of show like Jameis Winston, we know who Jameis Winston is, right? He throws a bunch of interceptions, he pushes the ball down. The Chargers were able to take advantage of that, which was a plan, and also kind of got a lead early, which was really important for the defense because for the Browns, Nick Chubb, right? One of their best running backs. Yeah, he's coming back from injury, but
right.
took him out of the game. He had 15 carries for 39 yards, no touchdowns, right? And that's the best I think you can hope for, and kind of the best way to execute that is to get a huge lead early with a bunch of passes, right? We had a 26-yard or we had a 28-yarder to Josh Palmer on a busted coverage, a 66-yard catch and run by Quentin Johnston behind the defense, and such a lead that the Browns felt like they had to throw, right? They couldn't just run it with Nick Chubb, control the clock, kind of keep the offense, the Chargers off of the field. So I feel like that kind of went to plan. The Justin Herbert, I know we talked about him being like that Ferrari parked next to the Shaq kind of meme, or the Porsche, whatever. On Greg Roman, Jim Harbaugh run the ball a bunch, but the Chargers have been letting him kind of unload. What you said though is kind of what worries me, right? Against the Browns, right? Against the Cardinals, against whatever other team we just beat. But I looked at who the Chargers have beaten and who the Chargers have lost to, right? The Chargers won 5-3, right? So we have 5 wins so far, but those wins are against the Raiders, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Saints, and the Browns. Teams that don't have winning records. Or the Broncos.
Hey, we have winning spirits.
You do have winning spirits. And the Chargers' losses are against the AFC North Steelers. They've lost to the 8-0 Chiefs, and they lost to Kyler Murray in Phoenix. So, do you think the Chargers are will be able to withstand the heat when it becomes like playoff time or like those big games, or are they fake? Okay,
no, I think they're good. I think they beat the teams who they're supposed to beat, so that takes care of that. Because if you're not beating those teams, then obviously there's something wrong. Then
right.
And then
supposed to be the Cardinals. Oh, sorry.
Exactly. Well, no, because the Cardinals are leading the NFC West. They are leading that division.
The NFC West is tied, yeah, like 5-4, 4-4, 4-5.
Hey, that's because it's a tough division. But
yeah.
They also didn't take tough losses. Like they weren't getting beat down when they took those losses. So they were in the game most of the 3 losses that they took. They were in the game. Like they had a chance to win.
Yeah, true.
So you could look at it at like how you said, like maybe they aren't good enough, or you could look at it like they were just working out some things, getting right, and now they'll be at mid-season form. So, and that's what you want to hope for, is that they were just working out kinks and figuring things out, and now that they're in mid-season, they'll be able to push the ball more down the field with Quentin Johnston getting touchdowns. Palmer, who was a name that everybody was thinking would be traded because it wasn't used as much. So, yeah, I think they're good.
Is good.
Yeah, I think they're good. So,
thank you. That feels good, and hopefully the defense kind of uses this, and we see the same thing. And it's not just because we were playing, quote unquote, the Browns. Right, Chargers interceptions by Alohi Gilman, Elijah Molden, rookie Tarheeb Still, and then 2.5 sacks by Tuli Tuipulotu from USC, 2 sacks from Morgan Fox, a sack from Khalil Mack, and half a sack from rookie Cam Hart. And also Justin Herbert, 18-27, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Most passing yards this week.
Alohi Gilman's from Notre Dame, if that
Oh, yeah. I should have started with that one. If I would have said Alohi Gilman from Notre Dame, you would have said USC for the second one?
Probably not.
The Chargers in week 10 host the Tennessee Titans, who are either coming to the game with freaking Mason Rudolph or Will Levis. Will Levis might be hurt. Mason Rudolph in LA at SoFi Stadium.
Honestly,
what do you think?
I think you're
no DeAndre Hopkins.
I think you're hoping for Mason Rudolph because he looked horrible.
Nice.
This past couple games. So
the Chargers should move up to 6-3 before starting a freaking some tough ones versus the Bengals. Moved flex to Sunday Night Football in week 11, and then week 12 we play versus the Ravens.
Already a flex game. That's funny.
Yeah. So so that's what's happening with the Chargers. What do you want to hand it over to you for the Raiders? What's going on?
Look, man, we're just building slowly. That's all. Just
by cutting away the filth.
So they have not played to the expectations of both the front office and fans. Because, as fans, everybody comes out, you've heard it every year from a fan of every team. This is our year. We got our guys. We're going to do this. Obviously, it hasn't happened for the Raiders. So they need a change on the field and inside the booth. So I think AP right now has a good standing with Mark Davis. I also think him and Telesco before the season started or when they were both hired probably have a bond. So the most logical thing to do, because also the offense wasn't moving the ball. They just looked like the game plan just didn't look right because they do some things really great, like on the first drive, score a touchdown, and would never go back to doing those things. Like it's like Gessie was out there like, look, let me try this. You know what I mean? Let me try this.
I got time. I got seasons left to figure out if this works or
Right.
not.
Let me
No, you
let me
don't.
try this. Like, bro, that's what practice is for. So, the logical thing to do, with that being said, was to let go of the offensive coordinator, who everybody was calling for anyway. They were calling for his hit. There's a lot of people who gave a vote of confidence for AP that also turned on AP. But the one thing between those two that everybody was happy about is because a lot of people didn't want Getsy in the first place. You know, everybody kept talking about how they might be able to trade for Justin Fields because Getsy was there. No, Justin Fields didn't want to play for Luke Getsy. I don't know why people think that. Okay, so he said some nice things about Justin Fields. Justin Fields didn't want to play for Luke Getsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't want to play for Luke Getsy because Luke Getsy did the same thing when he was over there. Like looked at him and was like, "Look, let me try some things with you because I know you can run. I know you can do these things."
It's not. It's like his play broke down, so now that athletic quarterback has to save
Right.
something and make some
Exactly.
some plays.
So
Getsy was the third choice. Was Antonio Pierce's third choice for offensive
right,
coordinator.
they had a fiasco because the ding dong,
Cliff
uh,
Kingsbury
who's
committed and then decommitted.
right, who's doing pretty well wherever he went. Um,
Those commanders that you like in the conference championship.
Not to
Uh
say that if he would have signed with the Raiders, it would have been like that because they don't have the quarterback there yet. But had they been able to get him and maybe trade for Justin Fields, might have been a different story. So,
Cliff
but
Kingsbury or Chip Kelly with Justin
right,
Fields.
right. So now, Getsy's gone. They fired also the quarterback coach and the O line coach. All three
They
phases of the game that they've been having trouble with.
the whole offense. You said the
Yeah,
three oh the phases of the offense
yeah,
or
yeah,
the
yeah.
three phases of the game. So the reporting is that Antonio Pierce fired all these people.
Right.
Antonio Pierce also, I mean, like we said, third choice, but he made the hire of Luke Getsy
He
eight
did.
eight months ago.
He did.
So you're saying that do you think the expectations were too high and it wasn't good? I mean, you guys had a decent start to the season offensively, but it just hasn't matched up. So what I mean, but what is AP saying? Like we have to do better, obviously, something like that.
Honestly, yeah, that's exactly what he's been saying. Just you got to go out there and play. That's the bottom line. And as coaches, of course, players have to go out there and perform, but coaches have to prepare the plan for it. It has to be a great plan before they go out there and play on Sunday. And his offensive guys weren't preparing a good offensive plan for them. This is all what we are speculating. AP is saying, but yeah,
I mean, but have you heard like the what his press conferences or stuff or what
yeah, he's just
he
like
did
you
this?
said, he's just he needs the team to be better. They just got to go out there and perform, and they haven't been performing at the level that he expected them to perform. So, and he's got guys there. Yeah, tough. They traded away Devontae Adams, but they still weren't using him, even with Getsy there. Tough again. They don't really have a quarterback who pushes the needle, but still, they still have two professionals that play there. You should be able to devise a plan that at least gets the ball over the line of scrimmage. You know what I mean? Like you're really not pushing the ball with the quarterbacks that you have. So there's just a lot of things wrong with the Raiders as a whole, and so
Uh,
they're gonna try to cut some of the fat off that was holding them down.
I mean, I think it's probably the players aren't really rocking with him either. So it's like you might as well get rid of
Definitely.
this guy. It's not part
And
of
that was the
Antonio Pierce's
news,
culture.
right? That was the news
He's
out of Chicago too. Like people really didn't fuck with him in Chicago.
because they like it was a bad offense, and then they blamed it on Justin Fields, not the offensive coordinator.
Exactly.
Head coach Antonio Pierce Monday morning. The last 5 games, we'd come out the gate like bulls, right? Going down the field, second possession, pretty good, and then we kind of hit a brick wall. And it just became apparent that obviously we weren't doing enough as a staff and as a team to overcome our mistakes and downfalls. So he's like, "Yo, you're not getting the players prepared to be able to hit the ground running, putting them in the best situations." And I mean, as someone who picked up and played Trey Tucker, I did not feel the Raiders offensively produced enough and put him in enough good situations. But it
Definitely.
also says his reason for freaking hiring
Getsy.
Getsy is because last year he whooped our ass. So
Like
he's like, yo, he did really
with a
good against
backup
us.
quarterback. With
Oh
a
wow.
backup quarterback.
Uh,
But yeah, I mean, so those are the things. Like so, as
what how do you move forward? Who's there? Scott Turner is the offensive coordinator now.
Scott Turner, Turner will be calling the plays now from now on. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if he'll be the long term answer, but they've also hired his father on, Norv Turner, who's
Legend.
legend. He coached some bum
Legend of
teams,
letdown.
right? He coached some bum teams that were
In San Diego.
yeah, some team that was in San Diego
Oh, he
too.
was right after Schottenheimer. Like they fired Schottenheimer after that,
Yeah,
like 14 and
yeah.
2 season, and then Norv Turner came in and he was supposed to be offensive mind. But he also coached for the Raiders, right? Was he with the Raiders before the Chargers or after?
Before way like earlier
Okay,
in
and
his
now he's
career.
back, and his son is the passing game coordinator, about to be turned into the offensive
Yeah,
coordinator for the Raiders. So now you got okay. I mean, that's a
and
pretty good get. That's it.
right,
That's
and
better than
North
what you
Turner
can
is there.
have.
Yeah, he's there as as they say, a consultant,
Mm-hmm.
which is might work out. I mean, you know what I mean? Maybe his son, who he's probably learned from, is gonna take better direction from his father. Maybe they can figure out a plan together.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
North Turner always did have a really good offensive mind, like the offenses that he coached. You know,
Good tight end.
they push the ball down, good tight end, right? Great tight end,
Yep,
great tight end. They still got a good receiver in Jacoby Myers. It's not like when he
yep.
was in San Diego, it sucked in San Diego, but he still had them moving the ball. They had they had
They
this weird
suck.
dude that sucked. They had this weird dude at quarterback. He
Shot
sucked
put
too,
Phil
right?
Rivers. No
Now,
condom Phil Rivers.
oh my gosh, he
Sorry.
always got like 20 kids.
Yeah, for real.
But no, yeah, he was a long time coordinator there or coach, and you see the things that he did with damn, we just said his name and I can't remember his name. What's his name?
North Turner.
Your quarterback or
Oh,
past
Philip
quarterback,
Rivers.
Philip Rivers.
You don't
Jesus,
remember Philip Rivers?
no, he's so
Get
unforgettable.
out of here.
He never beat the Raiders. Uh, so
Whoa!
so yeah, they had Philip
That has
Rivers.
to be false.
It is, but his record's not great with us. But yeah, no, he had
Fair.
great offenses while he was there with Philip Rivers. So it'll be interesting to see. He's not the
Do you
offensive
think
coordinator. His son is.
do you think North Turner is going to consult Scott Turner to start Desmond Ritter over Gardner Minshew?
I don't.
Do
I
you
don't.
think
I think
Gardner Minshew's contract? I don't think he's what 12 million a year. That's not enough that you have to stay with Gardner Minshew if
no,
there's a
no,
better
no, no.
quarterback, right? But so you don't think Desmond Ritter's better than Minshew?
I don't think he's learned the system yet. But now that a new system is coming in, I don't know how much the system is going to change. Because Ritter obviously wasn't
Mm-hmm.
ready when they put him in the fourth quarter because they just had a sub package made for him because he hasn't gone through the whole
Oh, right. They
playbook yet.
traded for him recently. Yeah.
Right. So,
But they were like real quick to try to find out what he got. They were
hey,
like, hey, hop in there real quick, get some
that's
reps in. We put some
that's
tape.
what you do. He looked all right. I'm telling you, he stands in the pocket. I can tell you that because
Nice.
he made some throws and was getting smacked in there, but he took the hits. We've seen him. He's athletic. We've seen him when he was at Cincinnati. His time in Atlanta, he showed some athleticism. He's just young, man. And like a lot of guys, like we talked on this before, there's not too much room anymore for these young guys to mess up, and they don't even get time to sit down and learn. It's just like, hey, we're gonna draft you first
Mm-hmm.
round, second round, third round, but look, you still gotta be our savior. even though we haven't had like a great season before you got here, even though we haven't really put too many guys around you, even though you have never played an NFL game in your life, come in here and take us to a Super Bowl your first year. So it's unfair to these guys. You saw
Yeah.
the emotion. They had a big story about when he got signed because he was so emotional just getting a second chance to play somewhere because he was on the practice squad, Arizona's practice squad.
Oh, hey, you remember when the Commanders started 7-1 and then didn't make the playoffs in 1996?
Was North Turner their coach or their
Norv Turner was their head coach and offensive coordinator.
yeah, he was there. I thought he was there before '97, like way before. See, so I mean, hey,
Dang.
get to look.
Look at
So
that little circle connection we just
right,
did.
we're about to be 7-1 now. So that's what
Oh,
you're
okay.
saying, right? That's what you're saying.
No.
Thank you,
is,
for
that,
that.
is that what you're saying?
What's you saying?
All
All right,
right.
thank you.
Before we do shout outs, well, I mean, I guess we got running backs rejuvenated. I noticed like a bunch of these guys who are leading the league in NFL fantasy and stats in rushing yards, all that
Again,
stuff, are old guys
hold
that
on,
people
hold
thought were
on.
done. Oh,
Before we start talking about it, I just want to tell the people who are arguing with me about running backs not being important anymore, ha 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 ha
true.
ha, because they'll always be important. Because if you don't want to game manage the game with your quarterback, that's what your running back's for. You know, you have your players take breaks running the ball. You can make the game run faster. You know, there's just a ton of things you can do with your running back. And if you have a real special running back, um, a la who's like really great, Saquon, you saw him hurdle someone backwards.
Revertal.
Oh my gosh. You know, and then you have Kamara, the way he plays football is crazy too. Like he can erupt for both 150 on the ground and like 250 in the air. So, you know, and then the ultimate running backs who's been injured for so long might be able to come back this week. Christian McCaffrey. So yeah.
You know,
Oh,
these guys were hurt or like already cast off. Derrick Henry, like let go by the Titans.
Saquon Barkley.
Alvin Kamara, like people think he's hella old. He's now the only one withstanding the in the Saints backfield. Saquon Barkley let go by the Giants, signed with the Eagles. Those are your top three running backs in all of
Yep.
fantasy, right? And then we also have some other notes on these guys. Saquon with the backwards reverse hurdle. Everyone's like super hyping it up, and at first I was like, yeah, okay, he did something crazy. But the more I watch it, the more it's like crazy to think about even
Right.
attempting this move. This is something that has to be purely instinctual because you can't think
Yeah,
I'm
like
gonna fucking jump over someone backwards.
backwards.
That's just something you see something and your body makes a twitch move. You know you've been
Yep,
training.
reaction.
You use certain muscles to like bounce up into the air
Well, I
and get
mean,
out of the way. That was crazy.
he does squat
Um,
like cars, I think.
right. So and rushing like a man was something that looking like he's got something to prove. 1,071 total yards with 8 touchdowns, and we're only halfway through the season. Also setting records, Derrick Henry as the leader in fantasy. He's on pace for over 2,000 yards, kind of sneaking into the
Open the
MVP
door, turn
race.
on that light, please.
Sneaking into the MVP race versus his backfield mate Lamar Jackson. 1,145 total yards, and he's got 13 touchdowns. Damn, 13 touchdowns. Do you have Derrick Henry in any leagues or Saquon?
No, none. Just my mom who passed by. She runs the ball for my team. So we're doing so well. No, I don't, but I do have Saquon in 2 of my leagues. And the only reason he doesn't have like 23 touchdowns is because his quarterback is an asshole that wants to steal touchdowns from him when they're at the goal line.
I think he pushed him in one of them. Like
Yeah.
he wants him to have
He
those
even
touchdowns.
said I think there was a game where he was gonna have like the best game of his career in rushing yards, and Nick Sirianni was like, "Look, we want you to get that. We'd love for you to have that on your, get you a record most yards ever that you've ran for." He was like, "Nah, man, play the young guys. It's late. Why would I go back? They never get to play. Play the young guys."
Nice.
So
That's a
humble
big
dude.
lead. He's
Yeah,
smart. Smart,
Yeah.
because Sirianni's a dumbass. He's like, yeah, let's spam Saquon and get him hurt.
Right.
Joe Mixon let go of by the Bengals, signed with the Texans. He's back. 724 total yards and 7 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, who we mentioned, number 2 back in fantasy, 1,027 total yards, 7 touchdowns. He leads all running backs with 46 catches. DeAndre Swift, cast off from the Eagles, signed with Chicago. He's now starting after a slow start. He's doing really good. Had his last couple games, 29.5 fantasy points, 20 points, 21.9, 18.9, 14.2. That's obviously declining, but that's a crazy 5-game run. He's got 4 touchdowns. And another rejuvenated running back, Aaron Jones, used to play for the Packers. He's now with the division Minnesota Vikings. He's also doing good.
I don't know if I can count him because he was still killing in Green Bay. Like, even when they let him go, he still had.
They should have. Then I feel like it might have been injury or something. Because why'd they let him go?
They didn't want to pay him. They didn't want to pay him because I think he was expecting like a bigger paycheck if he stayed with. Like, the extension would have been greater than what they wanted to give him. So, which is funny because they went out for Josh Jacobs, and it's only funny because he was looking for more money with the Raiders, but ended up, I think he took less to join the Packers. So, but good for Aaron Jones. He's on a team.
Josh Jacobs signed for less than Aaron Jones would have got?
I think so. Well, less than what he would have
asking for. That made it a problem
with the Raiders. Yeah. So,
okay.
Good for him because like him and Sam Darnold, they look like they're killing over there with Jay Jetta and Addison. Even though there's so much controversy, not so much. There's been things like when Addison's father was on social media after a missed touchdown. It was like, look, Addison's wide open. How do you not see it? And then a post where he put free 3, which he claims is something he used to do since high school, has nothing to do with him wanting out of Minnesota. There were rumblings of him possibly getting traded to the Patriots, but Patriots didn't want to pull the trigger. I'm sure they were asking for at least the second round over there in Minnesota. So, yeah, Minnesota, Aaron Jones seems to be in the place he's supposed to be right now. So good for him.
810 yards and 3 touchdowns. So that's pretty good. All right. So the other talk is the Chiefs moving to 8-0 after beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in overtime on Monday Night Football. And people are asking, okay, 8-0, that's half the season, right? If they continue at this pace, obviously they're going to go undefeated. The Chiefs, as many know, going for their 3rd straight Super Bowl title. They've won back-to-back and now trying to make a 3-peat, which I don't think has been done, right?
Nope, not yet.
And it won't get done this year. Don't worry about it, guys. But going undefeated over the whole season, the last team we saw to do that, 2007 New England Patriots with Randy Moss, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. We watched that Super Bowl, me and my mom, in Leone on like a couch and like a bunch of moving boxes. And we saw the Giants beat them. The helmet catch, everything. And my mom was like, "Oh man, they were supposed to be undefeated, and now they're not." And I was like, "We understand the gravity of this situation together. That is happening." It was a really memorable moment for me. But I also remember a lot of the 2007 New England Patriots and just annihilating everybody. They were on like a FU tour because Eric Mangini called them out for having cameras or something. And was that Spygate that opened up? And then the year or two before, and they were like, the Patriots use cameras. And then Bill Belichick was like, well, if you think that, we're just going to go ahead and just beat the brakes off of everybody. And then we'll move on to Cincinnati, beat the brakes off of them, and then move on to another team. And they did that for like a whole football season and just beat up on everyone. The Chiefs don't have that kind of juggernaut feeling around them, even though they are back-to-back defending champions and haven't lost a game yet. They feel like there's a lot of holes. I feel like Travis Kelce is kind of falling apart, right? I don't know if they're saving him for the postseason or letting him play his way back into shape after, maybe being busy during the offseason. But I kind of feel like he wanted to retire last year along with his brother, but they forced him to come back to try to win a third championship. And he's like, well, use the other players. I'll just make catches when it's super needed or something like that. But yeah, how do you feel about the Chiefs? Do you think they have a shot to go undefeated?
Yes, they do. Of course they do. This is the same talk we heard last year. They had a little slow start, but they were still winning games. And everybody's like, oh no, I don't think the Chiefs have it. Yes, they weren't. There wasn't much talk of an undefeated season for them, so which makes me even worry more because they were probably even better
Under
offensively
the
last
radar.
year. And so this year, now they're
Mm-hmm.
just like they're winning games the way they're supposed to win games. They're winning tough games in late quarters. So
Mm-hmm. Overtime, doing
right,
what needs to be done, crunch time,
that shows
executing in the high pressure moments.
exactly. That shows
Damn
grit.
it.
That just it shows that they want to win. Like the last couple of seasons,
Mm-hmm.
you could have really just said like they're just really better than everybody. That's how they're winning. Now they're really fighting. And like you said, Travis Kelsey is just he had a really great game last night. So he can
That's a
still
good
do
point.
it. You know, he can still do it. And again, last season too, he had games where he disappeared. Wasn't great. I know that because I had him in fantasy because that's my tight end. Damn it. Uh
4 catches, 4 touchdowns for 14 yards, something like that sometimes. And then other times he would have 10 catches for 150 yards.
fan.
He's so versatile, and that offense can win in so many different ways. But that's crazy that you say that. It's like they're not just going in one punch man, knocking people out just
No,
by flicking them in the face.
they're
They're
grinding
going
it out.
into, they're taking punches, they're giving punches. It's like a long boxing match, and
Right.
they're still coming out every week on top, beaten and bruised, like face all swollen from the fight, but they're still winning those fights. And it
We
like that's tough. That's the toughness you need to win the playoffs.
exactly, and we don't want to like give them so much credit for
We,
being
I mean,
tough.
we give them. We
For
do
being
not like
tough.
them.
No, not at all. But like if we did, like if we were talking objectively, uh, we'd never like we don't want to say they're tough because they're not. But honestly, they got dudes like Drew Tranquil. Like he's tough. Like he when he left the shitty team he was playing for before and went over to Kansas
Wow,
and became a winner. Not just
it became a champion.
uh Drew Tranquil was one of those guys all the way from high school to Notre Dame. If you didn't know, he played at Notre Dame. Um, he played there. He played linebacker at Notre Dame, and then into
Where?
Notre Dame. Again, who's number 10 right now in the rankings? Is low,
Okay,
low for them. It should be like 7 or 5, but whatever.
you just got to be top 12.
Right.
But you're saying the Chiefs aren't tough?
No, I'm
I
saying
feel this
we
has
don't want
shown
to
that
see
they
them.
are.
We don't want to see them as tough, but they got some players who are dogs. Like Drew Tranquil, he did it at in LA. Like he took Kenneth Murray was drafted higher. He came in, stole his position. You know what I mean? Started over him. Was making plays all over the field.
You're
People were
talking
saying,
about Tom Telesco's draft picks for.
"Hey man, if Tom Telesco drafted him out of Notre Dame, obviously he knows something about
He
players.
went back to Notre Dame a lot. Okay, but wait, where are we?
They're tough. Look, the Chiefs are tough. We don't want to look at them as being tough because they're the Chiefs and they got this prima donna at quarterback. You know, and we all
What?
know that. Yeah, the guys. Anyway, he's soft at quarterback. We protect him. He's protected by the league. Everybody views it the same. It's also my opinion, but they're tough. And if you are a team going in to play them, thinking that they're tough, you know, this season kind of really, I think for me, proves that they've got some. What do they say these days? These kids, they got some dogs on that team. You know what I mean?
Some chutzpah,
Yeah. So yeah,
some mana.
I would be careful that they go undefeated.
I don't think they're going to go undefeated. I think they could lose any of these games. They're
Don't
like,
the Raiders are on it. Don't worry. Someone's gonna
okay,
hurt.
yeah. The Raiders, they
We're on
play
it.
in week 13. They have okay, in order, these are the games. They play division rival Denver, right, at home. They're coming off a
Great.
short week. They could lose.
That's a win.
They're going at Buffalo in week 11.
That's a tough game. That's probably still a win.
trap game in week 12 at Carolina. Don't
Oh,
lose that game. Bryce Young is happy, smiling.
right.
Week 13 at home versus Vegas.
That's a loss for them,
Yeah,
definitely.
see right there. They're going to be
Yeah,
11-1.
yeah.
Or yeah, okay. They also host the Chargers right after that.
Oh, yeah. So they'll finish like 13-1.
Okay. They have to go to Jameis Winston and the Cleveland Browns in week 15.
So those four games
Week
that you just
6,
said, the four last games, those should be really like
they should win. Carolina, Vegas, Chargers,
they
Cleveland.
should, but they should be really afraid because those by the time it gets to barring the Chargers uh finishing out the way they're finishing, they'll probably be the only playoff team in that last four games. But the other three will have nothing to lose. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Those are the teams you
And
don't want to play at the end of the season
they've
because
got
it's
5 division games in their last 8 games.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, they could possibly lose, but I think even a loss late, I think that just makes them better too. Like people are talking about how losses make teams better. They could go on a streak, and they might get a little cocky. I don't know, and then
Yeah. And then lose to the Panthers,
right,
lose to
and
the
then lose to the
Raiders, lose
Panthers,
to the
and then
Chargers.
get a
Those
rejuvenate. Yeah,
if
and
they're
then
11-0, walking
right,
into those 12-0, 13-0, and they're just are, by then it's like whatever, we got such a big lead. Week 16 versus the Houston Texans. Obviously, CJ Stroud, that's a big one. Week 17 at Pittsburgh, and then week 18 at Denver. So that's not a walk in the park. Where they're going to be undefeated. They're going to have to fight for every single one of those games. All right, that's going to wrap our episode. Before we do shout outs, what are you doing for? We're recording this Tuesday night. It's election day in America. You have any plans? Are you ignoring things? Are
no,
you
I'm
tuned
not
in?
really. Yeah, kind of ignoring. I'm whatever happens, gonna happen. I do have my preference of who I'd like to be president, but also if it's not the person that I want to be president, I'm still gonna have to live in this country. I'm still gonna have to go to work every day and
Yeah,
see people and be around people, So I'm gonna try my best, hope for the best, pray for the best. But at the moment, it's been already stressful since uh election time had started. So like this kind of brings it to an end, hopefully.
yeah.
So I'm just chilling, really. Probably I might get on the game after this. I was playing some Call of Duty before we got on. I might get on that. I might watch a movie. I've been watching a lot of anime again, so something like that. But I'm really just chilling. I don't know what do you got planned. I know you just told me that
I'm
Sammy's
gonna make
already.
some wings.
Oh, see, I made some bratwurst. I grilled some bratwurst. I baked some bacon to cut it up so it can go on top of toppings. I did some ground beef. They can go on. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of gout, but it's gonna be taste really good. So yeah, wings. What are you gonna do after the wings?
We ordered pizza. I got wings. I'm kind of treating this like a game. I'm just like an NFL game.
I like it.
I'm going to kind of see where everything's heading. I know the results are going to take a while to count. I don't know what each state has to do to, and like I think everything ends at like 8 o'clock local, and then the counting starts. But it'll probably take a couple days. But tonight, I think we can get like a picture on who's in the lead, and
Right.
if certain states break a certain way, it might be easy to call quick. But I want it to be a landslide, a blue landslide. That way, there's not a bunch of Donald Trump saying, "Oh, it was close. They faked it
Right.
all. They
Right.
beat me by 5 votes. They faked the votes."
Exactly.
Uh, I'm really tired of the distrust in the elections and stuff like that. I know, like, you shouldn't know fully trust anything, right? Just blindly. But especially at the end of election season, political season, politics season, like we don't have to see no more of these ads. We don't have to see all these smear campaigns, any
Right.
of these surprises or anything. We can just see the results and then get ready for a new president, new senators, Congress people, and start focusing on how best to assist and bring up us. You know,
That is
like
the
I'm not
hope.
just talking about like the community stuff, but like how does this affect us personally? Like selfishly, I want to be able to afford a house. I want my kid to be able to have a backyard that's safe, that she can play in. I want like to be able to afford to spend more time with my family. Um, yeah, so there's a certain way I feel like that can go politically and legislatively. So I voted accordingly. Did you vote? You already
I
got
did.
everything in?
Yep.
You vote by mail or did you have to go in today?
No, we voted by mail.
Nice.
Yeah, I just feel like there's just a lot of dummies out there. So I mean, you risk going to one of these polls to cast your vote, and you risk there being some real big dummy for either the blue or the red that's gonna do something. And that's the reality that we live in now. So yeah, you know,
It's still very rare that that happens, right? I
it
mean,
is
but
still very rare, but like a few years ago, like
did it seem that was a
it,
possibility that
right,
be
right,
running around happening? And now it's like, oh, I kind of then that's how the fringes start becoming the norm, bro. You got to keep that
exactly,
shit out, man.
exactly,
Free and fair
exactly.
elections. Shout out to the whoever handles that, the freaking the State Department. Yeah. Yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Shout outs. You got any shout outs this week?
Yeah, man. Just my little nephew. Well, he's not little. Uh, he just won a championship in the league that he plays in.
Hey.
Yeah, 13 years old. I might as well. He's 6 foot, 240 pounds. Just got a sack early in the game. Was holding the line on both sides. So good for him. Leonidas Valfusi, good for you. Um, can't wait to see where the career takes you. Whether it takes you just through college or through high school, whatever you do. Because you know, yeah, I'm great to see all these kids that I'm connected to, like starting to get into things that they're gonna be in for a
Yeah.
long term because they're older now. Shout out to also to
He plays for the Benson Bears.
Benson Bears is who he plays.
Is Benson close to you?
I think it's just I don't know if it's like close. Yeah, I guess so. Like 20 minutes.
All right.
We're further away. They're home.
Some sports, some action photos.
No, for sure. I was going.
Ripping
I
through.
I went to the game on Sunday. If you work with me, don't rat on me.
Hey, I did it for
I,
my family.
I caught
I
out on
did it for
Sunday.
the Rock.
It's like, yeah, I went to the game, but bro, no parking anywhere,
Oh,
anywhere. That's how big their league is and the game was. So
eighth grade. Damn,
yeah,
get it.
that's what I'm saying. So I went home, got some food, and went home. But he did great. He did great, and another championship for them. Shout out to Coach Fui. He brought his boys up here a couple weeks ago to play. They didn't dodge the smoke because they're another great team out of Oregon, the Oregons. They came out here, and in the words of Coach Fui, bro, we got our asses kicked. So, and he was like, but we didn't dodge the smoke, and they did not. And again, the organization that Coach Fui is a part of, just a great organization out there in Oregon. So shout out to Coach Fui too. He's been on the show. We'd love to have him again if we can. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Also to the my Alva brother playing for the USC. I almost
Jaden.
I almost said Cowboys. The USC because that's their record right now. Anyway, the USC
4-5.
Trojans. Jaden Mayava will be the starting quarterback of the USC Trojans come this weekend. They're benching Miller Moss, who was all right started coming from last year where he was pushed into the starting spot after Caleb Williams decided he wanted to focus on his NFL career. But Jaden Mayava transferred over from UNLV, was great there. Was a real big spark for them, and then decided he wanted bigger and better pastures, I guess, with USC moving into the Big Ten. And now he's there. He's going to get his chance now. So shout out to that kid, Jaden Mayava. There's a bunch of Mayava boys who've been playing college football. This is just another one in that great line of players coming from Hawaii. I think he was the quarterback at Koku before UNLV, if I'm not correct. Kogu, who's also playing Campbell High School in Ever Beach. They'll be playing Campbell High School for the OIA championship. If I'm not mistaken. So go Sabres. Go Sabres.
Yeah, go Trojans. Fight on. Jaden Mayava, yeah, taking over for Miller Moss has been pretty disappointing. The Trojans might not even be bowl eligible throughout their going, but maybe Jaden can save that. We got to, hey, you just got to be top 12, right? You get top 12, right. You get into the playoff, make some noise.
You know who's top 12? You know who is top
12? Georgia?
No, Notre Dame.
Oregon?
But anyway.
Texas? Shout out to Levasa Island Apparel, Via Dolorosa Fall Market. Definitely this Saturday, November 9th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., 1331 Cascade Avenue. We talked with Brother Uriah last week. So many different food vendors are going to be there. But also you could get Levasa gear and man, hopefully he could get like some like Department of Health, just like those tables that just be out helping people, getting them blood pressure checks and stuff like information. Yeah,
informational tables are great at events like this because they're in an area where some of the folks who live in the area might not be able to get out to these offices regularly, to answer their questions, and they might not be able to come out into the community and do the same thing as an outreach. So this gives them a really great environment for them to set up a table. They don't have to be going door to door, and people would just come to them. There's food there.
Yeah.
Be, hopefully some entertainment.
Yeah. It's going to be Department of Health, be like, make sure you don't eat like fatty foods, high salt foods, high sugar food. And then it could be like right next to a bakery table. But hey, limit, okay? Moderate. What is that? Moderation.
Moderation.
Yeah, definitely gonna be a bunch of good stuff. We gotta, let's plan to try to get down there for one of these fall markets, man. If we can,
I'm down.
Yeah, one of your friends at the airlines, or we can do a road trip. Come park at my house. We can drive for 15 hours. Yeah. Shout out to Brother Uri, Brother Va, Brother Forrest, Brother Mike, everybody. Shout out to the Pacifica Movie Starter Kit. Me and Marcus watched The Wind and the Reckoning. I don't know if anybody in Hawaii is familiar with the story of Ko'olau, like the leper war, but yeah, that's we watched The Wind and the Reckoning, really good movie. Made us like look into like Hawaiian history, and
it was dope. We had to watch it for a class because I'm Catholic, and the place they kept the lepers on that island was like I want to say like a monastery. Yeah, Catholic. Yeah. So, yeah.
Nice.
Fire.
Yeah, this one, Jason Scott Lee, Mowgli.
Bruce Lee.
Yeah, okay, Bruce Lee. I haven't watched that one. Bruce Lee. But yeah, that's that was a dope one. We also changed the format of our show, so it's different. I feel like it's more information, more cuts, and less kind of hemming and hawing, thinking, figuring out stuff like that. But that's going to be released very soon. I've been working on editing it, getting it chopped down, and now that that's done, I'm working on adding like visuals, like when we talk about something, the picture of it pops up so people kind of more understand what we talk about and hopefully watch more of the video. Yeah, so check that out. Polyticket Network on YouTube. If you want to see any of those, Pacifica Movie Starter Kit, Way Back Wednesday. They also got the Polyticket podcast. What else? Oh, there's the Patreon.
The Patreon.
You can sign up for the Patreon. We're on that with Cepha and Marcus, and just like every week talk about different stuff from the culture or from our communities. So that's a dope way to support. Yeah, that's our show. What else?
Want to see more of me? You can check in on my OF account.
Hey,
hell no.
What are your price tiers?
To put my clothes back on?
Just show up in a tank top. More?
It's like who wants me to put something back on?
Yeah, we gotta kind of consolidate and figure all this out. But
stay safe out there during. I don't anticipate anything crazy to go.
Yeah, there shouldn't be anything crazy unless it's like planned craziness to try to make the election look like it's not working. Right.
Unless you're burning ballot boxes in Oregon and Vancouver.
Yeah.
Portland and Vancouver. Please don't.
Yeah, if you're planning on putting fireworks inside a ballot box, don't do that.
Please.
Don't do that. Don't be an agent of chaos. and further stoke the misinformation and flames that people think that this country's taking over.
And,
yeah, you know what I'm saying? So
shout out to everybody in American Samoa who didn't get to eat barbecue today because we're not allowed to do barbecues anymore next to the polling stations.
What?
Yeah, it's been like
next to the polling stations. Okay, because it's like giving people food for their votes.
It's almost like tampering, yeah. So people,
it is very it's
not like tampering. Hey man, it's living in the small islands.
We used to do that all the time. That's what's crazy. It was just regular, but it's like you look at the way elections are, and it's like, hey, we're having a party over here. You want to come vote over here? Come on, don't go over there. Come over here.
It was every candidate that was handing out plates, not just one.
That actually makes sense. No, because that money needs to go to like outreach, not fucking chicken thighs. But it was good. It was fun. That's what we did. It was a party, and you kind of wanted people to come over to your party, and there were no split families. All the families voted as one, right? That's not how they do elections here.
Like you got there, and
you can't even hand out water anymore here.
Your family was sitting in one area, and they told you who to vote for.
Yeah, you didn't even that wasn't even part. You don't have to read the pamphlet. You're voting for whoever your dad says to vote for.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we're in America, a little different. But shout out to everybody. 2024 election season almost over. Shout out to Jesus. And yeah, we're almost done, and we're gonna be American great. I don't know what to say. A great again. No,
it wasn't always great for a lot of people. So
no. Cut that part out. Thanks for everybody for listening. Appreciate it. Follow us on the socials. We're sponsored by Livasa Island Apparel. And stay hydrated, stay blessed, stay balling, love and light. Peace. Peace. It's peace, okay? Don't put fireworks in mailboxes.
Peace.
Or voting.
Peace is some shit.